Good morning. Um, I've talked to my athletes about performance cues and telling yourself, you know, I've used, I'm lifting like strong, focused, whatever the performance cue may be, the mantra. Um, and I agree with it. I think that you positive talk and positive self talk is important, and I do hear people say that you need to affirm yourself. You need to be positive with yourself and say, "You got this, friend." And I heard it and I like it and I agree with it, but I also know how hard that can be when we're also um, you know taught to be humble. Um, but looking at that, tell yourself you're good. Um, you're smart, you're strong, um, you're pretty, you're this, you're that. You also hear, don't compare yourself to others. John Quincy Adams has a quote which I'll talk about. How in order to preserve the dominion of our own passions, it behooves us to be constantly and strictly on guard against the influence and infections of the passions of others. Um, that it's wonderful. It's so true, and it's joy is the or comparison is the thief of joy. Great, wonderful quote. Um, but when you are telling yourself you're good and um, you're smart and you're kind and you're reaffirming yourself, you have to keep it steeped in reality because um, as much as I get on YouTube and I talk, and as much as I talk with other individuals, as much as I try to help, um, I'm not smart. And I talked about that with Socrates. I think that I've reflected deeply on how much there is out there to learn. Um, some of the things maybe that I know that others don't, and the vast amount of things that others know that I have no clue about. And spoke to my athletes yesterday, like calculus. I wouldn't last a day, and it wouldn't be quitting. It would be I am not capable. I don't understand calculus. I never did. I didn't get beyond algebra 2, and that was a battle for me. Um, I I don't know if it was because I didn't thoroughly enjoy it, therefore my passion didn't drive me through it, or that I just truly didn't understand it or have the mental horsepower to do it. It was probably a combination of all of those, and the larger thing that was dominating was the lack of intellectual horsepower. Um, so I don't have the Dunning Kruger effect where I estimate my abilities. Um, and so that's the thing too, is that when you are doing these performance cues, um, when you're not comparing yourselves and you're told not to compare yourselves to others and things like that, um, so that you can fuel your own passions, um, you know, you have to be careful of people saying, "Oh, you're trying to sound smart or this or that," or they bring up the Dunning Kruger effect, of like, "Oh, you're actually very limited intellectually and or athletically, but you're um, overestimating your abilities." Um, and when we look at comparison is the thief of joy. I posted something on my Instagram about that. When we look at John Quincy Adams, that in order to preserve the dominion of our own passions, um, we have to be constantly on guard of the infections of others and influence the negative influence. So there's a lot of deeper wisdom, and if you spoke with him, if you had the luxury to speak with him, which I think would be a luxury. I think he was a good person in a time where there were a lot of forces working against him to not be so good. I mean that he never owned slaves. He did not believe in slavery. Um, when it was, a lot of people were. Um, I think it would be a luxury to speak with him and say, yeah, but isn't it that if the positive influences, and the way that we look at, other people, um, Like, what if I mimicked you? You have the highest, he's known as having the highest IQ of any president, right? So, like, what if I mimic your kind of intellect? What if I try to copy how smart you are? What if I try to live up to, who you are? What if and if I admire those people, if I have role models, if I have mentors, why is it bad to not compare yourself and try to live up to those people, especially if they lived a sound, moral, and virtuous life? Like, so, you know, um, I highlight these things about telling yourself you're great, um, but not having the Dunning Kruger effect of like overestimating your abilities, um, not comparing yourself, and you know not robbing yourself of joy, but then comparing yourself to others, mimicking others, trying to set goals similar to people that you admire and look up to. And I highlight these because I think it bogs us down. I think this stuff really bogs us down. A lot of people, as I've looked at some scholars, some poets, I think they get fed up, they get tired of this back and forth and what they want in themselves, what society or their job or their relationships expect. Um, Maybe they're in the relationship they don't even know they shouldn't be in. You know what I mean? Um, all these different things um, w- really bog us down. This back and forth of, well, what's right, what's wrong, and I think reflective thought and deeper thought can help you. Um, it's I think having to understand that life is complex. It's not easy. There's going to be different situations, and there's not always going to be a right or a wrong. I've found more and more that I've had to kind of just take a step back, and I don't look at it as quitting or becoming kind of, you know, but like just kind of like a bystander and just watching. It's There's just certain things that one people don't care to listen. They don't care to make change. They don't care to get to know me or where I'm coming from, and that's okay. And I understand that. And I think the more you try to fight those types of things and want to have answers, it just creates more problems. And so I said, in this writing, I said the more you try to control those things, right, the more stressed, right, the more stressed and tired you become. And so you have to think of the things in life that, are out of your control, that we're trying to fight, we're trying to change, we're getting frustrated. Like, why is it this way? Well, if you didn't create it, and you don't have any cause in it, you can't really stress about it. You have no self blame. Um, and I think you have to make the parallel of the truth of that when you're in the ocean, and I've written about it. Um, People get caught in riptides, um, and in rip currents. And if the waves are big, a surfer is going to find that rip current and get on it and ride it out to get beyond, because it's usually flatter and it's a current pulling you out. You don't have to duck dive, you don't have to do anything, and that's a good situation. If you can do it right, you follow the rip. People drown because they fight the rip current. They try to swim, and the more they try to control their situation in the rip current, the more stressed and tired they become, and they eventually drown. So the thing is that what you want to do is you want to relax. You want to flow with it. Once you realize it's not pulling you anymore, swim to your right or left, because the rip current's usually here. Once it goes out to the end, swim to the right or the left of it. So when I think of these things, I think of I think of the way that nature presents itself, the way that you come upon a bear, What are you going to do? And try to fight it? You're going to talk really nicely to it. Hey, bear. Hey, bear. I'm here. And back away very slowly. Hey, bear. Hey, bear. And hopefully the bear goes on its way. Because, see, when we don't see situations for how they are, right? See, that's a stoic approach. You see a bear, you're outmatched. Know you're outmatched. Walk away slowly, and hopefully the bear will go on its way. Don't try to control the situation. Don't try to dominate the situation. Don't try to be, I'm gonna, put my authority on this. And so the same thing is with life. And certain times, you just gotta say, hey, let's flow with it. Let's just sit back. Let's talk positively to ourselves. Let's not get away from ourselves. Let's not get too egotistical. Let's not compare ourselves to the point where it steals our joy, but let's look to the positive influences in our life. Let's not look at life as and society as a huge machine. Let's look at the beauty in our daily lives and understand that we're here and there's things out of our control. Got to have insurance, got to have a roof over your head, got to be fed, right? You got to have certain things. So just try not to go too far outside of your essential needs, and I think you'll be all right. But don't get bogged down. Stay positive. If you ever want to hang out, do something fun, cold soak, go fishing, go for a hike, do a workout, anything like that, reach out. We can do any of those things. And if it's one of you who views this, who wants to do any of those things, uh, feel free. My tub is getting cold right now, so I'm going to go out. I'm going to soak in it for a little bit. I'm going to increase my dopamine, and then I'm going to go do a workout. And then I might go fish. I'm going to try to do a lot of things that I enjoy, and I'm going to embrace a lot of the world today. So hopefully you all can do the same.